What's going on, party people? Welcome to another episode of the Culture 316 podcast. I'm one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Nahisi.
And I'm your other co-host, D'Angela Davis. Happy Women's Month, everyone. It's Mo. What is up, people?
Not Angela Davis. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning.
On me, my fro. It's Angela
I
Davis.
want
But go
I want to
ahead.
know I want to know who's talking about your fro because they got static with me. But
Word.
oh yeah, I saw the tweet where it was either that or Bob Ross. Oh
Yeah. Who the fuck out there is comparing me to Bob Ross, bitch? We have problems.
That is just disrespectful. But anywho, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the Culture 316 podcast. If you're listening anywhere where you can stream your podcast, be sure to give us a 5 stars, rate the show, like the show. If you're watching on YouTube or any other visual streaming platform, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're not going to waste any more time. We're going to get right into it. So, first things first, as we approach WrestleMania 39, reports have begun to circulate that Triple H is looking to make the WrestleMania card smaller. That's right. Triple H wants less matches on both nights of WrestleMania. So I want to know, do you agree with this move or do you not agree with this move?
I agree with it. Because there's many times I'm watching WrestleMania matches in recent time, and there's some matches that I just don't think about. I think pre-show matches are a little unnecessary. As someone that actually attended a WrestleMania back in 2019, I was exhausted, and I know that they split it up into 2 nights for that reason, and they're essentially copying New Japan. But as someone that attended, showed up around fucking noon or 1 o'clock, and did not leave the motherfucking stadium till 12 or after 12, I agree with this just because I can't even recall all the matches. I could just name the bigger ones, which that's the point of WrestleMania. It should just be the big ones. I don't need a battle royal. Scrap that shit, please, for the love of God. All titles should be on the card if he's going to still cut it. Leave all the title matches. The only reason why I would schedule a match that isn't a title-based match is that it has to be either juicy or there's a good stipulation that's attached to it, but the storyline has to be juicy. Like you want every single thing to matter. And it was effective back then. I can't remember when was the last time we had a short WrestleMania, but weren't WrestleManias 3 hours long back then?
3 to 4, I would say. 3 to 4.
Yeah, for a whole card. A whole card. I'm pretty sure when I watched back WrestleMania 21, the shit was no longer than 3 hours and some change, and yet it's one of the most iconic WrestleManias that even got a whole video game out of it. So yeah, sometimes less is more.
I remember that.
But what do you think?
I remember when they had a WrestleMania 21 video game. That's crazy. To echo what you're saying, I completely agree. I think that it should be title matches and really, really juicy feuds. I believe that when you stack the card with too many matches, it automatically devalues the event, right? Because if the idea is WrestleMania to be the biggest spectacle, to be the most important show of the year, if everybody is on it, then why is it so valuable? Does that make sense? Like, if everybody can wrestle on it, if everybody has a match, if everybody has a spot, then is it really the biggest event of the year? Maybe in terms of length, but maybe not in terms of importance. So I think that's the first point. I think the second point, to kind of echo what you were saying, because like we established earlier, we were both at WrestleMania 35 in New York in 2019. And I was there from me, Angie, and Nora were there from 2 or 3 until pretty close to midnight. And if the idea is for WWE to compete to gain casual fans are people who are fresh into the WWE world, are not going to sit through a 5 to 6 hour event. They're not. If you have Grammys and the VMAs and those award shows are 2.5, 3 hours, then that's the type of time frame that they need to be operating under, especially if they're trying to reach the casual fan. So I am a fan of the less is more kind of concept. Also, when you think about it like this, a lot of the shows that we have stand over in wrestling over the past, you know, I would say 5 to 10 years have been, I would say like a good show that we stand over is like NXT Takeover, right? A lot of those times, 5, 6 matches on the card at best, but they were some of the best. Sometimes it was even like 4 or 5 matches, but that made every match more memorable. You know what I mean? And it made the experience that much more enjoyable, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But I agree. I think that Hunter
I have a
should go with this.
question.
Yeah,
Um, no, do you think that they did that to maybe like pander to the wrestlers by any chance? Because everyone back then was fighting for to ultimately get that WrestleMania paycheck. That's a fat paycheck back then. I'm
yeah,
not sure if it's different now because we did have a discussion before about pay-per-view payouts.
yeah.
But back then, you were fighting to get on a card. Like you wanted that bonus in your check. So, like, you
Hmm.
think that they did that so that everyone could get a nice bonus? And do you think we're taking away from that if we cut down the card?
I think that uh I don't think that we're taking away. Well, you may take away from that because if you're cutting down the card, that means less people are competing. That means less people are going to be getting those bonuses if there are bonuses being distributed. Um, but I think it's one of those like look, listen, Hunter has always been one of those like, dog, if you want to get on this, you got to work for it. So I feel like he wants,
Mm-hmm.
in addition to wanting to make a more compelling card that appeals to the casual fan, I feel like he also wants to tell wrestlers, yo, if you want to be on this card, you got to step up. Your performance has got to be up. Only the best of the best make it onto this card. So if you want to be on here, we're
Mm-hmm.
not just gonna throw you on the card. We're not just gonna throw you in a battle royal, a multi-person tag match, just because we want to be inclusive and we want to give everybody a spotlight. Nah, this is the biggest show of the year. We want the
That's
best
true.
matches possible. So if you want to be on this card, do something compelling during the year that makes me say he has to be a part of Mania. What about you though? I'm eager to know
That's
your
true.
stance on this.
I actually agree with that. Of course, I would love to see the talent happy and get paid because the show is normally booked so shitty that I feel like, well, at least the incentive is that they're getting all paid, you know?
Right.
So that's
Right.
one part of my brain. Then the other part of my brain is just like, well, that's when the shows were better, when less was more and they put quality stars on camera and we got to just only focus on that and that you didn't feel like there was bathroom breaks in between when you're watching a pay-per-view. Like now I just instinctually know as a fan when to get the fuck up and just go to the bathroom or just to be on my phone and just bullshit and wait, which it shouldn't be like that. I should be at the edge of my seat the entire time when I watch a show and my energy should be high from beginning to end. And that's another good benefit of cutting the show down. The main event, you don't want anyone from the main event to suffer. They go on
Right.
last. They close out the show. They are supposed to be the last thought, your last impression. And it sucks that they'll have these long behind shows with a bunch of fillers and people are happy to be on the card. Yeah, but the match didn't really deserve to be on it because now the crowd is gassed and we're dead and we're tired. The same way I was fucking tired watching Revolution turn to space with you guys. I got tired at some point.
Right.
Um, yeah, it sucks, but yeah, you should kind of bust your ass to earn that. But with Hunter in position, I feel like it's not gonna be like with Vince, where you're just hand chosen just because you're hand chosen, you're just the it person. Like I do feel like Hunter does value work ethic, and whoever is actually working hard, but is also yes going to make good business because the fans are taking to them, he would give them a better push and make them more deserving of the card. So when you do get on it, you feel like extra proud of yourself, like wow, like my
Right.
hard work actually paid off and now I'm on the grandest stage of them all. It should feel like it, but
I
yeah.
I agree with that. We want to know how you guys feel, so let us know in the comments. But we are moving on. So, on the latest episode of Monday Night Raw, my boy John Cena received a hometown hero's welcome as he accepted the challenge from Austin Theory for the WWE United States Championship at WrestleMania 39. I'm going to break this segment down into 2 parts because I want to know how you felt about that segment, but I also wanted to find out about a cryptic tweet that John Cena had put out following the show. But I wanted to know
Hmm.
first and foremost your thoughts about this John Cena Austin Theory segment.
God, I was so excited. I felt like a little kid watching from beginning to end of John Cena coming out and him being dressed as, face John Cena, but playing kind of like he wasn't like necessarily a heel because Austin Theory is the heel here. But like I
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen John Cena like really act that cunty in a while. And it felt like it was like a promo that was like just off the dome piece. I mean, he even called out a crowd sign that said that Austin
Yeah.
Theory is a John Cena wannabe. You know what I mean? I loved every little bit of this segment. John has not lost a damn thing, okay? This promo was so good, y'all. I had to sit there and show my dad, okay? And I laughed as hard both times. Both times. Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was brilliant overall because they know that we don't like Austin Theory. We all find him collectively annoying. We all already see that he looks like a spitting image of John Cena during the Ruthless Aggression era, or before that, I guess, when he was the prototype. But like that's just it. Like he has everything like John Cena said he does, but nobody cares. Nobody wants him. We already seen it before. Like move along. He had chopped this man down left and right. He violated his name and called him a theory. Um, he sat there and told this man that whatchamacallit, he had sat there and ripped on this man's looks, had ripped on this man for basically saying, like, without me here, whether you win or you lose, like, you still lost, bro, because you got to deal with them and walk out on a Monday night, which I'm like, ooh, like, he's right, though. Because, like, the crazy thing is that this man accumulated a lot and we still don't care. Like, he won the Money in the Bank. And you would think that by now there would have been some turnaround with him having that and we would have cared at some point. We just don't care for him, you
Mm.
know? And I like the fact that they're paying attention to what the fans think in social media and they're bringing all those comments from that to the screen. John Cena's like, he may not post too much on social media, but he did mention that he's always watching. So I feel like this is like all driven by him, this whole promo, this whole setup, that he wanted to bring that to light because that's like the easiest way to get us on your side. Outside the fact that you are John Cena, like that's the best way to make us care about this match. Because I did not care for this feud. I wanted Carmelo Hayes and John Cena. That's
Same.
what my heart wanted, you know. But now I'm invested because you brought some realism. And I like the fact that they had John Cena chew him out and basically just say, "Yeah, kid, you're not ready." But barely let Austin Theory get a word in because we didn't need any of that. We didn't need any of that. He came in. It was Boston. They ended a John Cena night, a 20-minute John Cena promo, and it got me hyped. I was a little iffy about this card going in, but that genuinely got me hyped. Again, I was fangirling from beginning to end. I grew up being a John Cena fan. That had to be my first favorite wrestler. Child, I have a shirt that was down to my knees for my first ever SmackDown that it took me just a couple years ago to grow into. I'm not even playing.
Not a
I've
couple
been riding
years.
for John Cena since then, bro. It's so sad. I was telling my dad about it. But what was your take about the Austin Theory John Cena promo?
So first off, check your phone real quick. Second of all, what I will say is this. I feel like John Cena transitioning into a part-time performer has only leveled up his, I guess, his value in a way because he comes back, and every time he comes back and he has a feud or he has a promo, it he knocks it out of the park. And I feel like part of that is just because the crowd knows the caliber of talent that John Cena is. I mean, we can go back to 2018 and his first feud with Roman, right? And he had that promo with him and Roman in the ring, and he said, "I do this part time better than you can ever do
Romo.
this full time." You know what I mean? Um, then he comes back when he's in like his little bloodline reign, and he says like, all I have to do, like, you're gonna beat me up, you're gonna chew me up, you're gonna spit me out, but all I gotta do is ping you. All I gotta do is just do 1, 2, 3. It's weird because he kind of takes the elements of a heel, as you said earlier, and integrates him into this face character because he just takes like these little kernels of truth and that is the driving point of the feud. So now the fact that he pointed out and the fact that it was in Boston and it was John Cena, like if Austin Theory tried to get a word in, he was going to get booed out of the arena regardless. So you might as well just make it all Cena, have him do what he did and just put him in a position where now Austin has weeks to respond and he could build up his importance and build up his value because of what John Cena said in Boston. So, man, like, everything that you said was true. I'm not even going to echo it because of the fact that it's all true and I would just be, beating a dead horse. But I think that John Cena being a part-time performer, even though, full-time John Cena we loved and we respected, or at least I did and y'all, you do. I don't know about the rest of the fans because I feel like people were kind of thinking that his character was a little bit stale. They wanted him to turn heel. They wanted him to get some edge. They felt like he was getting too many opportunities. But I feel like this
Mm-hmm.
part-time John Cena run that that he's on, it only shows how valuable he is. Cause like you said, he hasn't missed a step. It's not like The Rock where he comes in, he does his same old shtick. He comes in and it's very, very obvious that he studies the product. He's still watching, like you said. He's still watching, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why every time he comes back, it feels fresh. Cause it's not like I'm just gonna say the same line that I did 10 years ago. It's like, no, no, no. I'm going to say something that resonates now because I've been watching. And so I just think that that's super important and I think that's super important and super prevalent. Now, the other thing that I was going to ask you about, because he put out a tweet, I think the day after, and he said, it was him retweeting the video of his entrance in Boston. And my God, the pop that he had gotten was insane. And he
Me too.
said this was one of those moments where I walked into an arena and didn't know if it would be my last time. So now the next question is, are we on the horizon of a John Cena retirement?
Stop. You're gonna break my heart. First of all, the bald spot breaks my heart because you know how hard it is to watch this man as a little kid and you watch him just slowly go bald. It was hard for me to watch Shawn Michaels go bald. You know,
Hmm.
Triple H, he has a good head to go bald, so like I was able to adjust. But John Cena balding, that did a lot for me. And then Austin Theory had to point it out, and I'm just like, no, don't fucking remind me, bro.
Right.
Like, you know, like my hero is aging in front of my eyes. And he's just like the last of the greats. To be
Mm.
honest, don't get me wrong, I see the new guys trying, but there's never going to be another John Cena. I mean, Bianca is like another John Cena, but there'll never be another John Cena. You
Yeah.
know, so to hear the days that like he's like never coming back, like he's never gonna put in a match, he's never gonna come in to do a promo, that sends chills down me because I'm like, damn, A, I'm getting old. But B, it's an end of an era. Like a lot
Yeah.
of people that watch wrestling, if you tell them name 5 wrestlers off the top of their head, whether they watch it or not, you could ask a stranger off the street. Yeah, they're gonna say The Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker. John Cena's somewhere on that list. All right, he's somewhere on that top 5 list. Everyone knows his theme song. Everyone knows the looks, the jean shorts, the cap, the graphic T-shirt or whatnot, hustle, loyalty, respect. You can't see me. Everyone knows that this man is WWE. So I mean, if that is his retirement match and it's against Austin Theory, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm
Mm.
gonna be pissed. I'm invested, but I'm gonna be pissed because he better bring his ass back for Carmelo. Mm-mm. He needs to bring his ass back for Carmelo Hayes. I will not settle for it. Okay. We will all bully him. All right, John, you hear me? I will bully you until you come back and you give me that match against Carmelo Hayes. I'm not
Not
playing with you.
not the bully, not the Edge fan bullying Cena.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. We'll run it back. We'll run it back and I'll slap your father.
No. No. But I I was gonna say, you bring up valid points, and I think the other person on that list, because you mentioned The Rock, Stone Cold, John Cena, Randy Orton is another person on that list, and he's for the last 20 years, he's been kind of like the Iron Man of WWE, and to see him kind of like sidelined with this injury for a longer than normal time, I think is the sign of the times. Like, I think that he could, obviously guys are still great. Randy Orton's a GOAT. John Cena's the GOAT. But I feel like it's one of those things where it's like you're getting older. All these things take a heavier toll on your body than they used to. And now the appearances aren't going to be as frequent. The matches aren't going to be as long or whatever the case may be. So I
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a sign of the times. And, you know, how often, when was the last time that we saw John Cena in Boston? Like John Cena do a show in Boston? Like I don't remember the last time. Even when they were in Boston for Survivor Series, John Cena wasn't there. So it's been at least a couple years since he's, been in that arena. And when you take into account John Cena's new life. He's in acting. He's, doing VO work. He's very, very popular in the mainstream space. Coupled with the fact that WWE has an ever changing and ever evolving schedule, it's kind of like they're in a space where they're kind of growing apart. And those appearances in some of these spaces are going to be less and less frequent. And it makes you begin to question, like, is this the end for John Cena? Obviously, I would love to see him go for another 20 years. However, like I don't know what John Cena's life is like at this point in time. I assume that it's a lot more busy and he can't accommodate WWE the way that he used to, and he's just doing bigger things now. So I think it's a sign of the times, and I think that a Cena retirement is it. He Let me put it like this: John Cena has more days behind him in wrestling than he does ahead of him, and that's super sad considering that I too was a Chain
Stop, I'm
Gang
sad.
member. I too had a chain gang chain that looked like the G Unit chain, but that's a separate story for a
I stole
different
my
day.
cousin's spinner belt.
Oh my God. We're gonna move on from this because it's getting depressing. But let us know what you think about John Cena, the John Cena Austin Theory segment, and do you believe a Cena retirement is on the way? But moving on. Speaking of WWE Premium Live events, it seems like WWE has announced their next international premium live event, as WWE has announced Backlash, which will take place on May 6th. However, this backlash will take place in Puerto Rico. And it's the first time in nearly 20 years that a WWE Premium Live event will be taking place in Puerto Rico. And it'll be hosted by Grammy Award winning artist Bad Bunny. And we already know the relationship between Bad Bunny and WWE. So I just wanted to know, how do you feel about Backlash being in Puerto Rico? First premium live event since first premium live event in almost 20 years. The last time WWE was in Puerto Rico, Edge cashed in his Money in the Bank contract to win his first WWE championship. So I want to know, how do you feel about WWE Backlash coming to Puerto Rico?
Wow, that's actually really insane. No, I love the fact that they're really becoming international. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they experienced in Europe. They're having another Saudi, the king of the ring in Saudi Arabia, and now they're expanding again to Puerto Rico, even though that's within the United States technically.
Right.
But I think that's amazing. That's amazing, and I mean that's a really good opportunity for Bad Bunny. I mean, we all love him. I feel like if you didn't like Bad Bunny before coming in, you definitely loved him when we saw him show out. His
Right.
little thing with Booker T. He's such a dork and he's such a fan, and I love that. Like, who sits there and makes just a track called Booker
Booker
T?
T.
And just takes, yeah, literally, like, and it's just such a random choice for him, at least for him to choose Booker T. But I love that. I love his entrance. I love the way he showed out for us for his two appearances that he made. I would love to see him again for WrestleMania. God, he probably would be there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I
He
think
probably
so.
would be. He has to be. It's Hollywood, but yeah, no. Going back to the main question about it being in Puerto Rico for Backlash again, like, it's fucking amazing, and I'm excited for it. I like the fact that we'll be able to experience another audience. Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much to add to it. It's just that, I mean, great for him, great for Bad Bunny. I mean, like, I know that there's a lot of people that are a big fan of Bad Bunny and his music. I mean, I'm half Puerto Rican myself. I'm pretty sure a lot of other Puerto Ricans feel represented, with it going to Puerto Rico. So I think it's pretty dope and great. But what do you think about it?
Man, it's so cool to see Bad Bunny. And it's so funny because he won a Grammy this year. And, he was already top three biggest artists in the world before that. But to see Bad Bunny step into this role in WWE, as far as like hosting the first Puerto Rico WWE premium live event in nearly 20 years, I think it's so significant. I think it's so important. I remember Damian Priest within the past couple years was doing interviews, and they were asking him about an event possibly in Puerto Rico. So like I know that Damian Priest is excited, and I hope that he finds his way on the card. I hope that Zelina Vega finds her way on the card. And
I forget they're Puerto Rican too. They have
yeah,
to be.
come on, they gotta. I need Damian Priest and Zelina Vega to show out. I would love to see them at Backlash in Puerto
Can I
Rico
get
on the.
Carlito?
Yo, I would be not. I think he's a free agent, so we can make that happen. The Primos, I'm with that.
I want Carlito. What? I need him to come back. I need that
Spit the
music that he
apple.
had and the apple gimmick. Yes, yes.
Yes.
I spit in the face of people
Of
who don't
people
like
who
to be
don't want to be
cool.
cool. I need him to. I would not be opposed to that whatsoever, and I think that that's very possible. I don't think that Carlito is signed to any major wrestling company, so that's definitely a possibility. But
I mean, he made an appearance back in 2021, so he
yeah,
probably would.
so he can make one
Yeah.
again. But I just think that this is just so dope that Puerto Rico has this event and has this experience, and that Bad Bunny is going to be a part of it. We already know, and unlike 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 previous events, I hope Bad Bunny has a performance at Backlash because while you know the napkin Americans may not care in the states,
The
Puerto
napkin
Rico,
Americans.
Puerto Rico is going to go berserk for my boy Bad Bunny. Yes, I said napkin Americans. Anyway, um, and the second thing is this. WWE, obviously, we know is an internationally renowned, internationally known company, one of the most valuable companies in the world, who is in prime possession of one of the most valuable sports brands in the world in WrestleMania. I feel like we are finally stepping into the era of WWE fully walking into their identity as a global brand. We have Backlash in Puerto Rico. We had Elimination Chamber in Montreal. We have King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia. We have Money in the Bank in London. Does anybody remember the last time we had 4 pay-per-views outside of the mainland of the US? Does anybody remember in the last time we had 4 WWE pay-per-views outside of the mainland of the US take place in over the course of 5 years? And we're getting all of these in the matter of a year. Montreal, Puerto Rico, Saudi Arabia, and London. And the year isn't done yet. So there could be more, but that's 4 right there. That's 4 right there. So I think that WWE is stepping into their identity as an international global company by way of live events. I feel like they've always been an international company and a global company, obviously. But I feel like they've only done tours. You know what I mean? They've done tours. They've, signed deals with international broadcasting partners in order to extend their media rights reach, their broadcasting reach. But now we're seeing WWE saying, "Hey, WWE is for the entire world, and we're going to be bringing this premium live experience to everyone, everywhere. We're doing stadiums, we're going everywhere, and I'm here for it. I'm 100% here for it. I want to know how y'all feel about Backlash being in Puerto Rico. I believe the date is May 6th. Don't take me up on that. But Backlash, Puerto Rico, Bad Bunny is going to be crazy. I'm looking forward to it. But moving on. So, contrary to rumors and reports, it looks as if FTR is still all elite. On the latest episode of Dynamite, they responded to the Guns' somewhat open challenge. And it looks like they're going to be challenging for the AEW Tag Team Championships, even though it was rumored that they were WWE bound. On a recent episode of the FTR podcast, Dax indicated that they had taken the time off to heal and that their contracts would still be up in April. So, with that in mind, how long do you envision FTR being in AEW? Do you think that they're going to extend their deals? Do you think they're going to be moving past April? Or do you think that once their deals have expired, more than likely they're not going to be in WWE? I mean, in AEW. My bad.
I no, you're good. You're good. Honestly, I think I could see them going to WWE regardless and ending on good terms and just doing what they have to do because like they don't really have very much to accomplish in my personal opinion that I want to see with AEW. That unless like I don't know, you're gonna split them, which I doubt they're gonna split them, but I don't feel like they're going to do anything promising with them as being tag team champions. And if you're telling me that like their contracts are up in April, I know they're not winning that shit. So I mean, if they did, then obviously that's a sign. That's a sign that maybe like Tony Khan's like, oh, like, if please stay with us longer, I'll give you guys the belts. But it shouldn't have to take that. I mean, they're like one of the best tag teams on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So why go about that route? On top of that, like there's more expansion, like you just said, with WWE. There's just more to do, more to accomplish now. And they could go over there and help out the same way like the New Day is like helping out with NXT and stuff like that. Like they could really go anywhere and be valued and be held to a higher caliber. So I would prefer if they did just like bounce back to WWE and just, go with it, but just end on good terms because you never know what's going to happen with wrestling companies. But
Right.
I just don't personally think that Tony Khan has been utilizing them properly. So if they wanted to just leave and just go get an easy paycheck and just kick it with Hunter, because I know they have a good relationship with him,
Yeah.
that's at least what I would do. What do you think?
I agree. I think that they came back. Dak said that, nothing has changed as it pertains to their contract status, that they're still planned to expire in April. And I think this is just a time to do good business and to, do good business and to also go out on the correct terms. I feel like the Guns are a great heel tag team. I really enjoy their ascent in AEW. I believe that Dax wants to do what's best for business as well as, cash. I feel like they both want to do what's best for business. And I think that they're going to, put the Guns over and then head out. But, needless to say, I feel like what they've done since leaving WWE is the equivalent of what Cody has done or the equivalent of what Drew McIntyre. Actually, I take that back, not Cody, because Cody started the whole company. But I feel like they did the equivalent of what Drew McIntyre did when he left WWE. In the sense of leaving, gaining value, or like like gaining value and just doing the things that they wanted to do. And then just being like, all right, well, my value's up, my price is up. It's time for me to go back. Time for us to go back. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys literally won the AEW World Tag Team titles, the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. They were the last match for the Briscoes. They won the IWGP World Tag Team Championships, and they were able to have matches against guys like United Empire. They won the AAA Tag Team Championships. So they've traveled the world. They've been those belt collectors. They've been the best tag team in the world in AEW. They've kind of hit their ceiling, and I feel like now that Hunter's in control in WWE, that they're willing to go back to WWE and see what's on the other side. And I feel like there's a nice crop of talent in WWE that they can work with as well. And there's a power structure that is conducive to Dax, to Cash. Obviously, they have positive relationships with Edge. They have positive relationships with Randy Orton. And I would love to see FTR and Edge do a nice little 6-man tag. I'd love to see FTR and Randy Orton do a nice little man tag. It don't got to be nothing like long committal type of situation, faction type of situation, but it'll be fun to watch. So I think that there are things for them that they may want to take care of in WWE, and just a desire to just go somewhere else and try something new. So that's my honest take on it. That's how I feel about it. But I want to know how everybody else feels about it. Um, is FTR leaving AEW after their contracts expire? Let us know in the comments. But we will be moving on. So speaking of the Pinnacle, it looks as if the former leader of the Pinnacle, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, is seeing some fierce backlash over his spot at AEW Revolution during the 60-minute Iron Man match with Bryan Danielson. He ended up going ringside and throwing some form of drink in the face of a child. We don't know if that was just water, if it was an actual alcoholic drink. So I'm not gonna sit up here and lie to y'all and say that it is. But then the internet exploded, and there were people that said that he was just being a heel, and then there were other people that were just saying that he took it too far. So I'm gonna ask you the same question: was MJF being a good heel, or did he take it too far?
I mean, he's always doing rude shit. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the base of his character. He's not supposed to be likable, and he's done, in my personal opinion, a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I guess people feel bad because it's a little kid. I mean, my biggest ick is that it's a little black boy in the front. I don't know if he was an MJF fan or not, but that'd be really sad if your mom got you those tickets and you're really excited for that match, and you particularly if you particularly like MJF and he did that to you. So I do feel a little bit bad about that. Doesn't really look very good when you have a Jew throwing water on a little black boy. You know, somewhere out there, Kanye might be mad, or you know what I'm saying. But let me go back to my point. Let me go back to my point. Going from a business perspective, I don't think that MJF was in the wrong here. I mean, I gas, but that's what he wanted you guys to do. He wanted you guys to gas. He wanted you guys to be shocked. He wanted you to be mad. Now, if I was the mom, though, if I was the mom, I would not have been that calm. Like, if I couldn't get over the railings to beat your ass and go to jail, I'm definitely finding something, or taking the chair that I was standing on and just chucking something at you. Like, I would have been in handcuffs that day if you took my drink out of my hand, threw it on my child. But at the same time, I do think that he was doing what a heel does, and it was good. It's actually really good shit, even though I was like a little upset. But I think the internet is overreacting. But that's what the internet does in general. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes they kind of blur the lines between, watching and knowing that it's scripted, which obviously that wasn't script. That was he wasn't a plan. That was an actual child. But he's like doing his job, because the thing about MJF is that he is so good at his job that he makes people like him, and that's the biggest problem with MJF. He's so
Yeah.
good at what he does that we clap and we praise him for being such a likable heel. And it's just like his job is not to be liked, his job is to be hated. So if he has to like push the envelope a little bit, he's gonna do that. And I'm pretty sure that AEW, Tony Khan probably got like, clearance with this, and that they probably did walk up to the little boy afterward. I'm pretty sure that he got a picture with Hobbs, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he probably went up to the little boy after and probably apologized. Or they probably gave him and the mom some incentive or something in general, just to say, hey, we didn't really mean it like that. It was just part of the show. He was just doing his job or whatnot. And I just think people need to lay off. I think it was good shit, and he needs to keep it up doing some disrespectful stuff like that, because this overreaction is what he wanted, you know? So good. I think he did an excellent job. But what do you think?
I agree with you in the sense that I'm like torn, in the sense that like I understand that MJF is a student of the game. This is a guy who studies Hunter. This is a guy who studies Flair. This is a guy who studies Punk. And he
Yeah.
studies all the best heels that have ever been in wrestling. And he understands that his job is to get heat. His job is to be hated. So he's going to do things that are going to get him hated because that's his character. So from a character perspective, that was a great move to do. But the other side is the aspect of, you know, him throwing a drink on a little black boy. I'm pretty sure he didn't have any like malintentions behind it. But let me tell you something: if that was Miss Allen that brought her little baby boy to a wrestling show, and you throw a drink on his kid, you getting a 2-piece to the jaw, no questions asked. But to each his own. But I also do have to commend Tony Khan in the sense of saying like, hey, as soon as that happened, they were on it. They already had it looked like they, had a plan in place. They had people that were around that wanted to make this kid's day. And I think that's very, very commendable of Tony Khan for leading that effort, and for the other wrestlers in the back that were willing to be a part of an experience to kind of help salvage whatever MJF was trying to do. So I'm a little torn as far as if it was wrong or if it was right. However, I do understand both sides, and I do think that both parties were able to kind of benefit from everything in the end, based on the fact that MJF ended up getting more heat, and that the boy had some form of, some type of reimbursement via his experience.
He
I'm
probably
pretty
got
sure
free show
they
tickets.
probably got. I think he did. I'm not completely sure, but I think he got free show tickets. He got a picture with Hobbs. He got a chance to meet Tony Khan. Like, bro had his night made outside of the drink being poured on him. But I do wanna I do want to move on. Let us know if y'all believe is MJF being a good heel, or was the internet just simply, is if MJF being a good heel, or is the internet overreacting, or was he actually in the wrong? Let us know in the comments. And speaking of backlash and speaking of AEW, it leads us to Ricky Starks. So Ricky Starks was backstage at the Royal Rumble with Cody Rhodes. Those of you who know Ricky Starks know that him and Cody Rhodes are very good friends. A lot of their friendship was documented in the previous reality show, Rhodes to the Top. And both Cody and Ricky have made podcast appearances since then to discuss the incident. But Ricky kind of made his stance very clear. He said, listen, Cody Rhodes is my friend. All right. And when you're my friend, I'm going to ride for you. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to support you. And I don't really care about all the tribalism between WWE fans and AEW fans, because at the end of the day, you're my friend. So I want to know, how do you feel about the incident? Should it even be an incident in the first place? Like, what's your take on Ricky Starks' kind of comments? All that. I want to know.
He sounds like a level-headed adult.
Yeah.
This little war between AEW and WWE, that's just like for the fans, and that's like more so like the insane fans that still think that this is like WWE or WWF versus WCW. Like it's not. It's not that. Maybe it is for like the companies themselves, but like the talents themselves, they're just regular ass people that grew up watching wrestling, this like you and I, but they're in the business, they're in the know, and their friends are everywhere. Like they came up on like the indie circuit and shit, meeting
Right.
all types of people, all types of friends that are dispersed everywhere. You know what I mean? What company that they're designated in will not dictate their friendship. And I find it weird that he would even receive this type of backlash, considering that y'all see Bailey and Naomi travel for Sasha to New Japan. Now, granted, I know that WWE and New Japan aren't against each other, but New Japan collaborate with AEW. Therefore, if you guys are going off of this whole war theory, shouldn't you not like them because they're on the quote unquote opposing team if they go travel across, continents? I don't know. To me, it's just you guys are very selective on who you guys want to pick on, but then hush about others, and I just find it just very weird. Like, he's a friend. That's his friend. He's
Mm-hmm.
going to support him. There's probably other wrestlers that do the same thing too. It's just probably not reported, but it's
Mm-hmm.
it's such a regular thing to do. Like they're close friends. You're going to support your friend on what they do, regardless wherever they go, because it's not about where they're making their money. Is my friend happy and healthy, and they feel financially secured and just again emotionally, mentally secured where they're at. That's what a good friend does. So I don't think Ricky Starks is a bad person here. If anything, this makes me like him even more
Mm.
because he's sensible. He's sensible. He's caring. Yeah, he's here for the fans, but a fan that really does care wants to see their favorite wrestlers happy too by any means. And if that's what makes him happy, then y'all should just roll with it. What do you think?
I agree with you. So I'm gonna make a couple points, right?
Yeah.
I believe that the tribalism in wrestling dehumanizes wrestlers. This idea of being radical about WWE and being radical about WWE has put, I don't even want to say wrestlers in a position, because I feel like a lot of the individual wrestlers are going to do what's best for them and their families, and rightfully so. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like this whole idea of like, you should just be AEW, you should just be WWE, has dehumanized wrestlers, because it is, in the fan's mind, it delegitimizes the reasons for so many friendships, for so many connections and relationships that have happened before there was a WWE AEW rivalry, whatever the case may be. And you got to understand, is like, Cody Rhodes played a significant role in the life of Ricky Starks. There's a very big chance that without Cody Rhodes, Ricky Starks wouldn't be in AEW. So if my bro got me my job, you best believe I'm supporting. I'm going all out. When it's his time to be lifted and supported, I'm going to support him. And I 100% stand behind Ricky Starks, bro. I don't care who you're a fan of. This is my dog. At the end of the day, this man helped put me in a position where I could put food on my plate, a roof over my head, clothes on my back. So if it's time to support him, I'm going to support him. And I just think that ultimately we just have to keep that in mind, that this, I feel like this incident overall just shows how toxic the tribalism in wrestling is. Because like you said, why can't people just support people and it not mean anything more? Like we saw Bailey and Naomi supporting Mercedes. And I feel like this got a little bit more backlash. I feel like this got a little bit more backlash because um Ricky Starks was getting a big push in AEW. Like obviously he's hot off his feud with Jericho. And Cody Rhodes is, he's about to win the world title at Mania. And I feel like both of them are in a little bit of a slightly different spotlight than Mercedes Moné was, or even Bailey or Naomi is, considering that Naomi isn't. We don't know if Naomi's a free agent. We don't know if she's still wrestling. We know Bailey is doing her thing, but I just feel like this whole idea of tribalism in wrestling, I feel like is just so toxic and poisonous, because I feel like there have been times where both sides have said, "Yo, I got friends in AEW. I got friends in WWE." And I just think that because of that, we just need to lay off this whole idea of like friends being unable to support friends because they work for a different company. I think it's just weird and it's just dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just weird. But that's just where I
I just
stand
don't
on
think
it.
there's a war. I just don't think there's really a war. I feel like in all actuality, these companies are kind of like somewhat in bed with each other to a degree, and they are playing off of that with
Mhm.
the fans. But I don't think realistically anyone really is at war with WWE. And if you are at war with WWE or AEW, um, it's usually the people who just went to AEW because they, obviously didn't have a good run with WWE and they still feel some type of way. But I mean, as per Ruby Soho, I just made up a name, y'all.
I was about to say,
Um,
who is Sobe?
the the I just took. I don't even know how I came up with that. Ruby Soho, y'all. Um, I mean, as per her and her promo from last night when she went in on the AEW fans on how they rejected her, which it was kind of realism. Let's be
True.
honest, what she
True.
used. Those are the only people that I would feel like would actually feel some genuine way towards um WWE, would have this war thing in their head. But at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know. I personally don't really see a war. I see like the companies and themselves having competition with each other, but I don't even truly think that they're at war. And therefore, why as fans do we have to take it so personal? Like,
Mm.
we're not getting paid for this shit. We're just watching, you know? I think that's just weird. Like, if they're not concerned, like the wrestlers aren't concerned, then we shouldn't be concerned. I know that's how they set it up in the beginning, because how else are you going to get a company to pop off without controversy? But I don't
Hmm.
think realistically anyone is sitting here like mad, like walking around with a flag, pro AEW. Like, it's just like, hey, I'm here. I'm happy. I have a job. I like what I'm doing. I hope my homies over there like what they're doing. Like, they probably all link up when the cameras go off and try to fly out to Florida or wherever the fuck.
Right.
I don't know. I just think this is just corny. This is lame. Lay off my boy Ricky. Like, he really doesn't do anything wrong. Like, he really is just a vibe. And I love
Right.
how outspoken he is, because he kept his energy for years.
Hmm.
Like, check this man's Twitter. This man's so funny. He will give it right back. He will give
Right.
it right back. So I like the fact that he makes a stance and he's ten toes down with everything. So that's all I gotta say on it. Leave him alone.
I was gonna say it. Like I was once again, I would talked about this book in the past, but I'm reading a book called The 22 Immutable Laws of Branding. One of the principles is the law of fellowship, which is that if you are the dominant brand, you're going to welcome smaller brands because the competition is going to boost consumption. And so a lot of y'all think that cats are at war, when in reality it's the illusion of war that's making you pick a side, because you wouldn't have picked a side or would have been engaged if people didn't give off the perception that they're competing. So a lot of y'all cats think that
Mm-hmm.
there's a war and really y'all just falling into a trap. But that's another conversation for another day. We want to know how y'all feel, so just leave your comments below about how you feel about this Ricky Starks, Cody Rhodes situation. Shout out to our guy, Ricky Starks, because that boy is 10 toes. Anyway, we're going to go on to the last segment. So, AEW looks like they're going to be in Winnipeg next week, and they're going to have a show on. Hold on. It looks like they're going to have a show on international soil once again. But it looks like they're upgrading a specific championship. That championship is the All Atlantic Championship. According to Tony Khan last night on AEW Dynamite, the AEW All Atlantic Championship will be rebranded as the AEW International Championship as he defends that belt against Jay Lethal next week. I think it's Jay Lethal or Jeff Jarrett. The two, like, they're so closely associated that it's either one of them. But I wanted to know what your takeaway was on the rebranding of the championship. Is this really necessary? Did they need to keep it? Did they need to change it to international? Or was All Atlantic fine as it was?
It's a belt that I already don't give a shit about. But All Atlantic to me at least has more like designation than international. International like could really be anything. It feels like any company. It sounds like just a very just generic brand name for a belt, and to me, it almost like lessens the value of the belt. And there wasn't to me that much value. I feel like out of all the AEW belts, like that's kind of like a belt that no one's worried about. I just like to say international. It just comes off just like a one size fits all belt. It's giving 24/7 to me, even though it's not obviously used for the same grounds as the 24/7. It's just that name alone, international. I I'm not feeling it. I don't think it does anything for the belt. Maybe they got bored and they wanted to see if they could just like try to resurrect this belt, but I just think it's been a couple years. There's nothing wrong with the name. It's just the way that belt, in my personal opinion, has been like used, that it feels forgotten. So work on that and not the name. That's just how I feel. But what do you think about the rebrand?
So in my opinion, first off, he is facing Jeff Jarrett next week. Not Jay Lethal. In my opinion, the rebrand was kind of unnecessary and kind of creates a little bit of confusion, because why have an international championship when you have a world heavyweight championship? What's the difference between the world heavyweight championship and the international championship? Like, this is like, when we talk about brand identity, these are one of those things, because stuff like this, generic terms like that, can create confusion. And I thought All Atlantic was just a really dope name for a belt. I don't really see any value in changing the name unless Orange Cassidy is going to drop the belt. And to be honest, while I love Orange Cassidy, if his gimmick is going to keep the championship in the bag, meaning that it's not visible, I think that may be the best move. I think if you are trying to establish a new championship, I feel like increasing visibility should be an important thing. Increasing visibility of the championship should be an important kind of thing. So you want to, if you're gonna have Orange drop the belt, put it on somebody who's gonna make it visible. And I mean, that's usually just
Why is
that's
he
really
hiding
just,
it?
I think it's just a good gimmick. Him putting it in his bag is just kind of like, it goes along with like his lackadaisical kind of attitude. But it's just like, why would you hide the belt? It's a new belt. I think he was either the
Why
first. No,
work
no, no.
for something that she don't want to be seen with? That's like getting a man and then posting the picture and putting an emoji over his face. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is the purpose? I'd be
Thank
so
you.
mad if I was Tony Khan as a company owner, if I created this belt for you and you don't even care to hold it, you don't care to represent it. What? So why should anyone else want this belt that you don't even feel like you should carry around with? Like, that's so disrespectful to me. I don't like that.
It's weird.
Again, obviously, I haven't
I
made.
think it's weird.
Go ahead.
I said I think it's weird. I was agreeing with you.
That's just disrespectful to me, like to the art of wrestling. I understand he's supposed to be lazy, but like no, like that doesn't make any sense to me. So like you're not lazy when it comes to getting down the ring, but you can't hold the belt for like or if you were that lazy, get someone else to carry the belt for you while you walk down. That would at least go with the gimmick, because it's like I'm too lazy to hold it, so I'm just gonna slap it on this guy and he'll just hold it next to me while I just slop my way down the ring. That'd be cool. That'd be one thing, because it needs to be brought to our attention. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I be forgetting what that belt looks like. I almost forgot he was champion because I don't see him with the belt. But since you brought that up, now I'm pissed off. Now I'm pissed off. You don't do that to championships. Like that devalues the championship. Why would I want a belt that no one's seeing? That people haven't seen in God knows how long. That's just weak to me. That's weak and lazy, and they need to fix his gimmick. His gimmick is getting real tiring to me.
And we're gonna
Very
end on
tiring. Sorry, go ahead.
that note. Thank you. I mean, we want to know first off how y'all felt about the rebranding of the AEW All Atlantic Championship, and do you think it's necessary? Do you not think it's necessary? Just let us know in the comments. But that concludes our show for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning and tapping into another episode of the Culture 316 podcast, and we'll see y'all next week. Ba, 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 ba.